I got something to perk you up today. Guess what? Oh, yeah, Cup of Joe. The good news about coffee just keeps rolling in. We know from previous studies that it may protect against Parkinson's disease, it improves your reaction time, enhances visual acuity. But now there are two new studies that make us reach for that second cup of coffee. First of all, a study from Australia, they followed 227 seniors and they filled out food frequency questionnaires so the researchers had an idea of what they were eating and what they were drinking. And they followed them for over 10 years. And a subset of this population also underwent brain scans in order to monitor whether or not they had any amyloid deposits in the brain. And that, of course, is a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Well, interesting enough, it turned out that there was an association between increased coffee consumption and cognition. That is, the people who were drinking more coffee had less of a trend towards impaired cognition over the period of the study. And then in the subset of the population that underwent the scans, the brain scans, it turned out that there was a reduced chance of amyloid deposits, again associated with increased coffee consumption. Then there was another study based on 350,000 people in the UK who were followed, this time for 11 years. Once again, at the beginning of the study, they had filled out these questionnaires about just how much coffee they were drinking and together with everything else that they were consuming. Now, again, just to reiterate, there's always an issue with food frequency questionnaires because you never quite know if people are honest, if they remember things properly, or if they fill out the questionnaires putting down what they think they should have eaten or consumed as opposed to what they actually did. But in this particular case, 350,000, that's a lot of people to follow over 11 years. So the results are interesting, although, of course, never conclusive whenever it comes to any kind of dietary study. But what they found in this particular case is that there was a 32% decrease in strokes and a 28% decrease in dementia associated with drinking coffee and tea. They didn't really distinguish between these very much, but the conclusion was that drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day and 2 to 3 cups of tea had this effect of reducing the risk of stroke and reducing the risk of dementia. So it's interesting. And I guess it's not all that surprising because there are many compounds in coffee that have potential physiological activity. Coffee is very complex. There are over 1,000 compounds that have been isolated from coffee, all kinds of polyphenols, all kinds of terpenes, and individually in the laboratory they can be shown to have some interesting physiological effect. But exactly which ones are beneficial in the context of the overall coffee, it's really very difficult to say. But all I can tell you is that there's an accumulating amount of evidence that coffee is not harmful and that it may actually be beneficial. So that is our Cup of Joe for today. Come to think of it, maybe I'll have that second cup too.